Well, there they stood looking across West Street, where they eventually learned the name of that street, at the near side of the Erstrink Park. Uh, Erstrink Park, yeah. And they had they had been past it twice. Sunday, the first time coming into Erstrink with Mervyn and his buggy, parade, the three buggies, and they had seen it, and they'd seen the water from Erstrink came roaring out to go underneath Spangler Street, but they hadn't really looked at it. They were taken with looking at that castle-like building that said Leatherworks at the top, and there was just so much to see, and with the mansions that were coming up and the openness of the park, uh, they hadn't really realized what they were going by. And the other time they went by is after Mervyn did his little drive around the town and brought them back along West Street. Uh, and once again, they had gone by there, but then they'd been looking at the restored train station, and they hadn't really looked. And there was, it was quite a sight, especially from where they were, because they were a little bit higher up. They weren't, on ground level. They were a little higher up where the train went through, and it went on its way up to Fishersburg, I believe is the name of the next stop and final stop. Anyway, they looked, and what they saw was what clearly had been a parking lot for a while. Uh, there was more to see, but a parking lot for a while because it was all paved, a little square, but right in the middle of it now, anyway, was a fountain, and around that fountain, it wasn't a real big fountain, but around that fountain, spaced out a little bit more, were four very peculiar looking buildings. They weren't very big. They almost looked like a strange kind of a tree, four of them, with uh, gardens on top, or with blooms of all different kinds. They didn't really know exactly what they were looking at, and they saw people on top of them. Not a lot, but a few, just here and there, one or two persons up on top of these four buildings. They didn't really know what they were. They were seeing something different. Well, of course, they wanted to go down. Janney, especially with his engineering mind, when he would see a building like that, he'd seen plenty of fountains like the one that was in the middle. They traveled all over Europe. About every little community or big community had fountains like that. He'd seen that, but he'd never seen buildings like those. And beyond, they could see also that there was the pond, sort of a pond that had to do with water. Well, anyway, they went across. There was handicapped accessible parking, and it was all very new and groomed. And they walked down in there. Oh, and they saw from above too, and of course they saw when they got down there, that there were one or two horses around now in that area around that fountain. So they walked, and Janney, he's craning his neck, looking all around at these four buildings. But they went to the fountain. They were automatically drawn to the fountain, and it was like almost any standard fountain, like I said in Europe. It was round. It wasn't square. It was round. The basin was, but in the middle there was it was square, and there were four pipes coming out in the four different directions with a turn on them, so that water was coming out in four places, and with two iron bars coming from the outside wall to the inside wall, where a person could set a bucket, and that was for each one of the spouts, and you could set a bucket there, and let it fill for if you were watering your horses or you wanted a little bit of water, wash your hands or whatever. And then when water didn't go in a bucket, or if it spilled out the bucket, it then went into the trough. It was a watering trough, the round part was. That's where the horses and other cattle could drink. And now, and this is 2031, there were many more horses coming into Earth's Drink than there had been before, because guys like Mervyn with his buggy, and there were also drivers that had sulkies there. They had to water their horse, and that, I mean, that's all standard fountain lore, but not so much in the United States. Well, anyway, they saw that, and there was a sign there, a kind of a curious sign. I can't tell you what it said verbatim, but I can tell you what the information was on there. It said, "This is raw spring water," and it explained also, AKA living water. It has not been treated, and then it went on and said, if for your purposes you want your horses, your livestock, or whatever purpose you want treated water, chlorinated water, you'll find that just about any household along any street would be happy to oblige you from their hose. Well, it was more eloquent because they'd worded it very carefully, but it explained. I think it might have even offered an address, or it might have even said at the municipal building, which was right beside it, there was a hose that had treated water, chlorinated, if that's what you wanted. It didn't say anything about being potable or potable or not. Now in Europe, that I've seen, there's often a sign that says this water is not potable, meaning purposed for drinking, human drinking. I've drunk from fountains like that before, even though it said not potable. I've drunk from them anyway. But it's fine for washing your hands. Well, anyway, they saw that sign. Now they turned their attention to these buildings. I mean, it didn't happen one thing exactly after the other, but they looked at them, and these peculiar-looking buildings. They looked like they were timber framed, because you could see the posts and the beams and the braces, but they were small. What actually was on the ground, the footprint, looked to be only about 8 foot by 8 foot. I mean, one or two people could go in there, but that was about all. But on top of those pedestals, whatever, those little buildings, the buildings spread out because they overshot, and they were cantilevered. And up there, you could see they were built bigger, and now that they were 2 stories. That was a story as well. And on top of that story, there was now these buildings were, trying to think I'm trying to remember if they were, I think they were square. They might have been like slightly rectangular. I don't remember. I think they were square. But on top of that was a roof, and the roof also shot out, so that little thing in the middle was supporting 8 more feet or so out, where people could stand if it rained, or their horses could have shade. Now, if they backed up a little bit, or what they'd seen from above, though, was on top of that roof, it was a garden. People were up there gardening. They were roof gardens, very steep ones, but they were. There might have been, who knows how deep that soil was. Well, I guess I do. I think a maximum of 6 inches of soil, but probably it usually only had 2 or 3 inches of soil, or things were in pots. But people were gardening up there. Janney, and Scott too probably, and their wives, they were going to have plenty of questions already for their tour guides when they met them. Well, then they tore themselves away from this and the horses that were around there. There weren't very many horses yet because it was Monday, it was in the morning, and a train was about to leave. It wasn't about to arrive. And they walked on and stood there in awe where the water came roaring out of Earth's drink, and just stood there before they headed up around the pond. Bye for now.